First, let's start with this case. Today at school, I, a 17-year-old girl, experienced a severe allergic reaction. The cause is still unknown, but my entire body broke out in hives, my throat started to close up, and my tongue became swollen. I was sent to the office where the vice principal, a man in his 30s, tried to comfort me as I began to panic. He called out for an emergency injector, as the situation was becoming serious. While waiting for help, I overheard my principal, a woman in her 40s, laughing with another teacher in the distance, saying, "This is so funny. Why's she being so dramatic?" Hearing that while I was scared and struggling to breathe made the whole situation even more stressful. Once the ambulance arrived and I was given an injection to stabilize me, I was taken to the emergency room. As I was leaving, I called the principal a hypocritical person because she constantly goes around preaching about safety and kindness, yet she found humor in my serious medical emergency. Now she's upset and trying to get me in trouble, but the vice principal told me not to worry and just share my side of the story. Since this was my first allergic reaction ever, I didn't know how to react and was already feeling extremely confused and panicked. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. That's really scary. As a person who has had bouts with anaphylaxis myself, I hope you understand that this is something that could kill you, so your reactions, whatever they were, should be excused. When your tongue and throat start to swell, it's terrifying, especially if you haven't had this happen before. Please get tested. And try to think back about anything you consumed today, because you're allergic to something that you came in contact with, and it's a serious allergy. While calling the principal a witch probably isn't going to go over well, you had a serious medical issue going on. I hope you've reached out and let your parents, guardians know so that they can back you up on this. I'm sending you all the healing wishes, OP. Anaphylaxis is deadly and scary, and you survived it. I'm dumbfounded. Can't even comprehend why you'd be wondering if you were in the right. In no way were you in the wrong. I wish you were calling 911 before you even left class. That's very serious. What have your parents done? Has the school board been contacted? You're not in the wrong. If you get pressured into making an apology, make sure it's public. Stand in front of the school and tell them that you said unkind words about the principal. Tell the school how the principal preaches safety and kindness, virtues we should all strive for. And so it wasn't kind to call her a hypocrite when she was laughing at your medical emergency. I hope you find out what's causing your medical issue soon so it can be treated properly. Next up, my roommate Anne, a 25-year-old woman, and I, a 24-year-old woman, share a 2-bedroom flat. We've been living together for 2 years, and it's been a great experience so far. This flat is our only home, and our lease clearly states that it's just for the two of us. We each pay our own share of the rent and bills. Recently, Anne's boyfriend, Jake, a 27-year-old, lost his job and is unable to pay his rent. Anne asked if he could temporarily stay with us for a short period while he tries to get back on his feet. I told her I didn't feel comfortable with the idea because it wasn't something I was sure about. Adding a third person to our flat would make our living space feel even smaller. On top of that, Jake and I don't get along very well. He can be rude, loud, and messy at times. Anne assured me that it would only be for a month or two and even offered to reduce my rent while he stayed. Despite that, I still declined because I value my personal space and didn't want to deal with potential issues that might come up during his stay. She's now upset with me, saying that I'm being unreasonable and that I should be more understanding of Jake's difficult situation. Some people agree with me, saying I have the right to refuse. However, a few mutual friends have taken Anne's side and believe that I should be more accommodating and help her during this time. While I genuinely feel bad about making things harder for Anne, I also believe I have the right to maintain a comfortable and safe living environment in my own home. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong because you know that he will never move out and will make you feel uncomfortable in your own home. You're not in the wrong. You don't have to be fair or learn more about his situation. He's a guy your roommate dates. You are not obligated to do anything for him. Hope that helps. Just know that while sharing this lease, you can't expect to ever have a boyfriend of yours needing a place. Once you draw the line, it's drawn for you as well. You're not in the wrong. It may be time to start looking for a new housing situation because it seems your roommate doesn't respect your wishes or boundaries very well. Next up, I've been dealing with my late father's estate for over 2 years now. Part of the estate includes a piece of land. After a long and difficult process, we finally listed the land on the market and received an offer. My sisters later decided they didn't want to sell, and we came to an agreement that they would buy me out at the price of the current offer. One of my sisters, who is the executor of the estate, was supposed to sign the necessary paperwork to take the land off the market, but didn't follow through. A couple of weeks went by, and the real estate agent came back with a significantly higher offer for the land. I suggested that we either accept the new offer or they match the higher price for the buyout. However, my sisters are insisting that we already had an agreement in place and are refusing to negotiate further. Let's start judging. This is a tough one. What would you do if another offer or an appraisal came in that was much lower? You'd probably not agree to reducing the price or splitting the difference. Of course, that's not the same thing. But if the transaction is being handled as an agreement between siblings, the agreement was at the previously offered and agreed price, not the new offer on the table. The sign being left up and a new, much higher offer doesn't change that. Legally, I can't say what's correct. Since there's nothing on paper except the will, I'm guessing you'd probably win and they'd lose. But you might also lose your siblings. Unless there's a ton of other karma history at play, I'd lean towards, you're in the wrong. Is the difference really worth losing your sisters over? Did you get along before this? Or was your relationship pretty much over when your parents died? This is what it comes down to. When all is said and done, they will still have at least one sister left. You, though, won't have any. This is from someone who had not talked to her sister for over 2 years and doesn't feel bad about it. So no judgment. Just something worth thinking about. You're not in the wrong. The executor of the estate has a fiduciary responsibility to get the best price for the things liquidated from the estate, even if that means paying more for items from the estate that they choose to keep. If you have an offer for the land at some higher price, there's nothing to prevent them from paying you the lower price for your share, then turning around and selling the land at the higher price. That's why the other owners need to match the offer if they want to keep the land. Next up, I was at my girlfriend's parents' house for a holiday dinner when I overheard her aunt say to her, "You got bigger this year. Doesn't your boyfriend give you tips? He's so fit." I was shocked to hear such a comment, and when I looked at my girlfriend from across the room, I could tell she was deeply hurt. It almost brought me to tears seeing how upset she was. I have a strong dislike for people who judge others based on their appearance or body, and never tolerate this kind of behavior, especially when directed at someone I care about. I've personally experienced similar comments in the past when I was overweight before meeting my girlfriend. While I've since gotten fit, that was my personal journey, and I understand how demoralizing these remarks can be. To make matters worse, my girlfriend has been struggling with her mental health, so hearing that kind of comment was even more harmful. I have never said anything negative about my girlfriend's body because, to me, she's beautiful no matter what. If I ever did bring up anything related to her health or fitness, it would only be out of genuine concern, and only if she asked for my opinion or support. In the moment, I instinctively ran over to hug her and told her aunt that she had no right to comment negatively on anyone's body, especially using me as an example when I love my girlfriend and find her beautiful in every way. Her aunt became defensive, saying it was none of my business because I'm not part of the family. She then started crying dramatically, claiming she was only concerned about her niece. The rest of the family quickly rushed to console her, as if she were the victim. Meanwhile, my girlfriend started crying and went upstairs to her room. Her parents calmed the aunt down, and I followed my girlfriend to try and comfort her. However, she lashed out at me, saying that I embarrassed her in front of everyone and that she didn't need anyone to come to her rescue. She explained that her family regularly makes these kinds of comments, and it's just part of their culture. I was genuinely confused, but I tried apologizing and offering her comfort. Unfortunately, she didn't want to hear it and asked me to leave her room. When I went back downstairs, the room was silent, and her parents approached me, asking me to leave for the night to avoid further conflict. I explained that I only stood up for their daughter because I didn't think it was right for her to be treated that way, but they insisted that it was best for the family's peace if I left. Not wanting to create more issues, I agreed and left. Since then, my girlfriend has not been speaking to me. I tried visiting her apartment with flowers to apologize, but she refused to open the door. All she said was that I embarrassed her in front of everyone, and that her entire family now thinks I'm in the wrong. Was I really in the wrong here? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. You sound like an upright guy. Also seems like, lacking any other information, you made the right choice. Once things cool down, it's worth a long conversation with your girlfriend to 1. Reinforce your support of her and love for her body, and 2. Get aligned on how she wants you to handle this in the future. You're not the idiot this time, but if she asks you to hold your tongue in the future and you don't, yes, even if someone is shaming her, you will be. Family dynamics are complicated, and so you have to trust her in what she wants to do, although you can certainly encourage her to stand up for herself. You weren't the idiot. She's right in that it's not your fight to fight, but you were implicated in it, and you did the noble thing. The bigger picture here is you've likely stepped into a family dynamic that sounds emotionally unhealthy, and where verbal emotional abuse from one or multiple elder members in the family is accepted out of respect. There might also be weight and shame-related baggage for your GF that's been ongoing and was triggered, hence her minimizing it. Your GF will need to learn to stand up for herself, and that might mean disappointing or losing love from members of her family if she's been conditioned to be a good girl, or working through some of the body-related shame. Either could be super hard for her. I can imagine this isn't something you'll want to keep witnessing. If you stop going to family gatherings, that will create a wedge between you. Either that, or eventually you'll lose respect for her. She does need to address this for the relationship to be sustainable. You didn't do anything wrong. You're not in the wrong. If she wouldn't answer the door when you brought flowers over, that is insane. She owes you an apology. If she is claiming the whole family thinks you are an arsehole for defending her, I would take this opportunity to break up with her. Imagine marrying into such a toxic family, and the fact that they asked you to leave, rather than the aunt apologizing for being awful to your GF, that speaks volumes. A strange family dynamic that you need to not get involved in.